you have everything you need inside of you. And when something
Love
bad
it.
happens or something that you're not expecting happens, you can't control that, but you can control what you can do with it.
Because when you change your perspective, it changes everything. It changes your entire life.
You can do, when you stop worrying about what happened and you start thinking about, well, what can I do with it? There's so many more opportunities.
You get to change your perspective. You get to reinvent your mindset. And that is the most powerful thing that anybody could ever be capable of.
Let go of attachments, the things you're attached to, what you think you're supposed to be,
Feeling successful really starts with, what do you want? Figuring out what do you want, because being successful is essentially getting what you want.
The possibilities are limitless when you open up to them. And like I said, we're usually the ones holding ourselves back. It's always something we're doing, or we're limiting ourselves.
We have so much more power to do good in this world when we increase our capacity by caring for what we actually need.
So many people spend so much time doing what they think is the right thing that they forget to do what's really the best thing.
When you own your worth, when you know how freaking amazing you are, and you just emanate that with your energy, other people feel it. They start loving themselves more, but they also start treating you the way that you treat yourself.
Create the life you want, because when you act a certain way, you'll get treated a certain way.
Get ready to love everything I am. All I want to be and understand. 'Cause I won't dim my light for no one.
Welcome to Popular, the show that will finally help you be seen and heard, because it's time that you made an impact with your voice. Your voice matters. It's time for you to be seen and heard, and for you to make the difference in the world that you've always wanted to. I'm Carolee Garrison, and I'm here to interview experts on publicity, mindset, leadership, and more, so that we can all discover how we can become our most magnetic selves. At its core, Popular is about knowing your worth, owning your unique superpowers, and using your gifts to make a difference in this world. What it comes down to is that if you are looking outside of yourself to feel important, it will never be enough. This is a journey of discovering your magnetic confidence from the inside out. Welcome to Popular. Welcome back, everyone. It is so good to have you. I am so thrilled to have an incredible guest here today. Her name is Lori McDowell, and she's going to help us reinvent ourselves, which, I don't know about you, that's something I feel like I do constantly. I feel like I love up-leveling. I love learning new things about myself, and I'm just really constantly changing and growing and becoming more of who I was always meant to be. So I'm really thrilled to share this episode with you so that we can all continue to reinvent ourselves. So let me introduce you to Lori McDowell. She has her PhD, and she is the CEO of Reimagine You Strategies and the author of the Reinvention Mindset. Lori is passionate about helping individuals find joy and fulfillment in business and in life. As a speaker, she shares her story of how she reinvented herself by tapping into her belief that we can't control what happens and we have a choice about what we do with it. She's a TEDx speaker, and she believes that it is never too late to make a change, and we all have the power to reinvent our reality. She is incredible. Please be sure to follow her on her social media accounts, which I will tag in the show notes. And welcome, Lori. Hi, Lori. I am so excited to talk to you today. So let's start with, you are a reinvention mindset coach. Is that right?
Yes. Hi, Carolee. I'm real happy to be here. So yeah, I worked in corporate America for like 30 years, following all the rules, doing what I was supposed to, looking like a success. And then one day, let's just say I was set free. Not to think of it as the day I got my freedom. And it wasn't traumatic. It was actually truly freeing. And I realized, wow, now I can do what I want to do. And I had to figure out what that was. So I had to reinvent myself after all that time. And I always wanted to write a book. So I wrote a book. and I didn't know what the book was going to be about. I just knew I wanted to write a book. And I ended up writing about something called the Reinvention Mindset, which is really the mindset where you have everything you need inside of you. And when something
Love
bad
it.
happens or something that you're not expecting happens, you can't control that, but you can control what you can do with it. And you can take
And
that
that
and
changes everything.
it does. Then there's like
Yes.
limitless possibilities and you can do whatever you want. I mean, I really believe somehow you can do whatever you want. I mean, if you're 5'4" and you want to be a professional basketball player, there's a professional league somewhere for people under 5'6", I think. So, or,
Right.
there's that you can
Yeah.
always, or if not, you can create it. You can do when you stop worrying about what happened and you start thinking about, well, what can I do with it? There's so many more opportunities.
Yes, I absolutely love this transformation of your perspective because when you change your perspective, it changes everything. It changes your entire life because you can change. I had this whole episode where I talked about feeling like I was trapped in a cage, feeling like this, here's all the circumstances of my life and they make me feel like I'm stuck in this cage. But wait a minute. What if the bars are far enough apart that I could just walk through them? But instead of trying to walk through them, I spent my whole life sitting in the back corner going, oh, well, shoot, I'm just stuck in a cage. Oh, well, can't live
Yeah.
my life. And so that's kind of what your whole work comes down to is like, what if you could look through those bars and just find your way through them and realize how powerful you are because you get to change your perspective. You get to reinvent your mindset. And that is the most powerful thing that anybody could ever be capable of.
Yeah, it truly is. And yeah, like you said, that cage, half the time, the door's open and we haven't even tried it. So,
Right.
because we're the only ones keeping us there. I mean, we feel like, okay, I have to follow the rules that somebody set. And we just do it blindly without even thinking, like, why am I following these rules? Why am I taking this path? Why am I doing this? Did anybody really tell me I had to? So yeah, I think,
Yes.
like I said, when you find what's in your heart and you start seeing what's possible from there, I mean, magic happens. Things that you never thought were possible happen because you're allowing them. And it's all magic happens all the time, I think, but we block it. We limit ourselves. We think we don't deserve it. We think it's not for me. So we miss it all.
I love that. So I want to dive into back at the beginning of your story, you kind of talked about redefining success. You had this moment of going, I look successful, but I don't feel successful. And that really is what the core of popular is all about. It's like, I want to be popular, but it's not really about the external validation. It's about the inside. It's about glowing from the inside out and feeling the way that you want to feel because we get to decide what popular means, what success means. We get to determine all of that. So how did you change that? How did you change your mindset? How did you shift your definition of what success meant to you?
Yeah, it was really, I think throughout my life, I've always had little slivers of it. And then I always went back to, no, I have to do this. You have something where you realize something happens and you're like, oh, I'm really happy with this. It's like, oh, wait, no, that's not what I'm supposed to do. And you kind of keep sending yourself back. And when I ended up, not having the job I had this realization as I was driving, after it happened that, wow, I don't have to go to work tomorrow. And I was really, really happy. And I guess I had finally reached that point where I was like, I don't have to do anything I don't want to do tomorrow. I can do whatever I want. And that's when I realized that, it was like, wow, now I can try to figure out what do I really want to do, because I'm not doing what I have to do or what somebody's telling me to do. And I'm not going to this meeting or
Yes.
And okay, you're not paying me to do it anymore, but it's my choice now and I can find out what I really want to do. And it was just so freeing. And that's why I try to help people now who are in that same spot where they're, I like to say they're successful on paper. If you look at, if they write down everything about them, you're like, wow, that's a really successful person. And yet they feel like inside something's missing. And I think when you're successful on the outside, you have this upper limit and you can't go beyond it because it's outside. And when you get successful, when you find out, I like to call it soul success. and you
Oh,
get your soul success on the inside, it's amazing what happens on the outside, because suddenly you are popular because people see your joy, they see your energy, and they want to be with you.
yes.
So when you're happy on the inside, all the stuff you couldn't get before is suddenly there because everybody wants to be around you and everybody wants to do stuff and give you stuff. And it's just, it lets you go, your upper level is so much higher.
So what I'm hearing from this is that feeling successful really starts with, what do you want? Figuring out what do you want, because being successful is essentially getting what you want. And is what you want being successful on paper but not being able to feel it? Is that really it? No, not really. There's nothing there. What you really want is the feeling of the thing, right? So how do you figure out what you want when you've spent your life trying to give everyone else what you
Right.
think they want?
Yeah. Well, the first thing you have to do is like kind of let go of attachments, what the things you're attached to, what you think you're supposed to be, what you went to school for. If you went to school for something, you may decide that is what you really want, but you have to kind of go from a place of nothing, where there's nothing you're attached to. And you have to look inside yourself, and things like meditation, breath work,
Love it.
just doing exercises where you try to find your values, thinking about the opportunity. What have you done in your life that you loved, and why did you love it? And yeah, like I said, it could be you're doing that thing and you're just doing it from a different spot. And you can do, maybe you want to do the same thing that you always did, but you just want to make it yours as opposed to following someone
Ooh.
else's rules for you. Or it could be something completely different, but you have to give yourself permission to look for it. Because I think so much of us are afraid that we're going to find out what we really want, and we're going to be too scared to go for it, in which case we'd rather not know. Because not knowing what you want is better than knowing what I really want and not being willing to go after it. Because that sounds awful.
Yeah,
So
and
you
then
have to,
you have to ask
once you,
what's holding you back.
yeah, once you figure it out, you've got to be willing to go for it. And you're not going to get that big thing you want if you're not willing to risk. And not, chances are the risks that you're taking is not going to happen, but you have to be willing to let it happen.
Ooh, well, and what I've come across in my life personally is I have always known what I wanted. Like, it was crystal clear to me since I was really young. And then that cage came and it was like, well, I know what I want, but sorry, it's impossible. Can't do it. Not realistic. And that's where the creativity came in, as I slowly realized that it doesn't have to look the way that I thought it did. It can look other ways where I can, fulfill my soul's calling, where I can do the things that I was meant to do and change the world and do all of it. And it doesn't have to be that prescribed supposed to path that I thought was the only way to do that big thing. It can look so many incredible ways. I can bring that magic back in. If I just allow more room for magic, then maybe I can have all of the things I want and not be limited to like one or the other. Right?
Exactly. Yeah, I love that. Yeah, I really, the possibilities are limitless when you open up to them. And like I said, we're usually the ones holding ourselves back. It's always something we're doing, or we're limiting ourselves. We're following the rules. We're thinking with our head, and when our heart tells us something else, we're ignoring our intuition. Because I think everybody has what they need already. Everybody, it's not what I realized when I looked at people who did amazing things. They're nothing special. They're no different than the people who didn't. They just opened themselves up to it, and they were willing to take that chance, and they were willing to say, not to set limits on themselves and let themselves find that successful, face what's holding them back, and face those fears and face those limits and let go of them and try something new. And I think a good part is realizing that even if you fail, you're not really failing. You're learning a new way. You're testing something out. So it's, you're experimenting. You're not failing. You're just trying this way, and that'll direct you back to the other way if it didn't work. And when you think of that, the fear goes away, because you don't have those expectations anymore. You're just open to whatever happens.
Ooh, I love this. So how do you help someone, what's the very first step to take when you're feeling really stuck? and you're going, I literally don't know where to turn. I don't know what I want. I don't know what to do, but I don't like where I am. Where do I turn?
Right. Yeah. The first thing I try to help people do is, really find out. I mean, I guess it's called their why, but why, what motivates, what's in your heart, what's important to you? What, if you could, if money were not an option, if people were not an option, if you can have anything in the world that you wanted, what would you want? And why would you want that? And what does that make you feel? Because once you find that, like what the big picture, what moves you, and then you can kind of just look at that slowly. Then we need to look at, based on your why, what really are your goals? And I like to help people find their goals from their heart, not from their head. So you kind of look at, like I said, when I work with people, we do a lot of meditation, we do a lot of exercises that get you to stop thinking and just start feeling. And when you do that, you already know what you want. You just have been hiding it all these years, or you've been doing it because, not doing it because it wasn't the right thing. I mean, so many people spend so much time doing what they think is the right thing that they forget to do what's really the best thing.
Oh,
because
yeah.
the best thing is, the best thing for you. And you've got to be willing to, people think of being selfish is a bad thing, but selfish is actually really good. Because when you're selfish, when you look at what you really want and figure out how to get that, you have so much more to give.
Yes.
Whereas if you're if you're on empty, you can't give anything because there's nothing left to give because everything's drained. But when you're full and you're loving your life, you have so much to give. You can do so much more, so you can give it out because there's plenty of it.
Yeah, your capacity is so increased. Like, how do you increase your capacity? You care for you. It starts with oh, what do I need? We've been so trained to ignore our bodies and what we actually need, and to just push through and be productive and get stuff done and care about other people's needs and not our own. And then we're burnt out and we're exhausted and we have lost capacity for creativity and for, empathy and for all the things that we need to live the life of our dreams. And to help other people live their dreams, and to help other people, in so many ways. We have so much more power to do good in this world when we increase our capacity by caring for what we actually need.
Yeah, that's true.
I'm so passionate about that topic.
I love that.
So you gave a TED Talk. Yes, you gave a TED Talk.
I did.
Tell me about your TED Talk. I want to hear about your TED Talk.
Yeah, my TED Talk was my TED Talk was really fun, although I had a very interesting experience. So I gave the TED Talk. I always have wanted to give a TED Talk, and I said, okay, I'm going to apply for them until I get one. So I made my goal in November. I actually gave one in May, so I got one.
That's amazing,
which is really exciting. And my TED Talk was on a simple shift to I think it was a simple shift to create the reality you desire, or something.
Ooh, I love it.
But it's basically how you can change your reality by how you feel and how you act. Because what's really interesting about emotions is, we don't just have emotions internally. Emotions don't become emotions until they're shared. So that an emotion has to be between two people or a group of people. And if you feel a certain way and you share that, then that makes the other person feel that way. So by doing that, you can actually change, and once they see you, once the emotions are shared, they actually trigger a part in that person's brain where they feel that emotion from you. And then they think about, okay, how should I behave? How should I see you? And how should I treat you? So by changing your emotion, if you're really happy and you're really joyful and you run into other people and you share that with them, you're going to make them happy. You're going to make them feel good. They're going to get that feeling from you, and their brain is going to tell them, oh, I love this person, treat them really well. So suddenly you get treated the way you feel. So by changing your feeling, and in my TED Talk, I actually danced into the room and said, if you
Love
dance, dancing brings out, when you dance, people just smile. If they see you dancing, especially if there's no music, they smile, they laugh, and they start to feel good.
And that's why confidence is so contagious. Like that literally explains the entire
Yeah, there's a
glow from
physiological reason.
glow from the inside out popular concept is like, hey, when you own your worth, when you know how freaking amazing you are and you just like emanate that with your energy, other people feel it. They start loving themselves more, but they also start treating you the way that you treat yourself.
Exactly. Yeah. So, and based on that, you can create the life you want, because when you act a certain way, you'll get treated a certain way.
Yeah,
So I
people
did
like
my
to
TED talk and
people
it went
reflect back
amazing.
what you give.
Mhm. Yeah. And I felt that from the audience. Like they liked what I was saying and they were really positive and it was great. And then when I was done, I was the first speaker in this session. And when I was done, the organizer came up to me and he's like, "Oh, your talk was great. I loved it. Um, can you stay after a little bit? Because the sound didn't work and we didn't get the recording."
Oh
So,
no.
so I gave my talk to like 150 people in the room. And then I had to give it again with like 7 people in the room.
Oh my goodness. And it's so hard to like repeat and like
Oh,
have
I
that
know.
same energy.
And the audience, like you hear claps and it's like 7 people clapping.
Yeah. Oh,
So, but I figure it was a great learning experience. So I got to practice it
yeah.
again with an empty room and it was
Well,
fun. So it made me want to do another one.
and that's a beautiful, I've been learning lesson, but that's a beautiful speech and like so empowering. I love that. Tell us about your book and more about how we can find you and follow you.
Sure. Well, so my book is called The Reinvention Mindset, and it is on Amazon, and it'll be coming out. It's available now in paperback and ebook, but the audio version will be coming out soon. I'm excited about that because I know a lot of
Yay.
people love Audible and don't like to read, but they love to listen. So I'm excited about that. And you can reach me. My company is called Reimagine U, like the letter U, so like for university strategies. And my website is reimagineu.net. And my email is lmcdowell@reimagineu.net. And you can reach me there. And I love meeting people. I would love to talk to you all. I have I have things like free gifts that I give away. I have an assessment that I'm happy to share. I can give Carolee the link and she can share that. So it helps you figure out where you're starting from. And then, it's easier to figure out where you want to go when you figure out where you're strong and where you're weak and where you're starting from today.
Oh, I love it so much. Thank you so much for being here.
Thank you. I have enjoyed it.
Thanks.
Thank you for joining us for another episode of Popular, your key to magnetic confidence. If you enjoyed today's show, please subscribe, leave a comment, and share it with a friend, someone who needs to know how much their voice matters. For more information on booking private sessions with me, as well as my available courses, check out caroleegarrison.com. Remember, when you know your true value, you glow from the inside out. Tune in next week for another reminder of just how amazing you really are.